Hello everyone. Today I am going to discussing about the mental illness which a lot we are suffering, that is called depression. Due to the some fact associated with or some condition that with associated in our life, sometime we are feel depressed. It is not like that a human being cannot go through a phase of depression, maybe due to the different reason are they are available, and different things which also influence the thing of the depression. But pharmacologically, if we go through the understanding of the depression, normally we are what we are thinking about the depression. Basically we are thinking like that it is associated with our emotion and the things. But pharmacologically, if we go through the different hypothesis of the depression, we will understand that there is a basically a chemical imbalance in our brain, central nervous system, that will associated with and will also lead the development of the depression. But exact the thing, it is not totally clear or not totally understandable, but there are different hypotheses and different things are there um, which will explain the way how the depression in develop in a particular individual along with that particular situation. So one by one we will go through the details about the depression. And the first, if we the things, if we explain the terms depression, what it is. It's basically a mental illness which mainly characterized by deep long lasting feelings. Means it will associated with your feelings. You will feel sadness, despair, uh, and depression can also change an individual thinking ability, feeling ability, and also affect his or her social behavior and sense of physical well-being. It can also affect the people of any age, any group, including young children and teen also. And women and elderly person are more commonly affected than men with the depression. And there are various type of depression. It can classified into various categories. So first of all, if we are considering the major depression, it is the change of mood that lasts for weeks or a month. It is one of the more severe type of the depression. So due to the some fact or due to the some reason, there is a changes in the mood that will affect for a week or a month, that we are considering as a major depression. And then there is chronic depression, is less severe of depression, form of depression, but usually last for several years. Then psychotic depression, a severe form of depression which will associated with hallucination and delusions. Means you are feeling that that are untrue and unsupported. Means you thinking level of thinking and your feelings are there, and things are not true in our normal life, and your hypotheses are totally unsupported. And then seasonal depression occurring only at the certain time of a year, usually winter, also known, it is also known as winter blues. And postpartum depression, this describe heterogeneous group of depressive syndrome that affect the mother. This symptom may surface before or after giving the birth of baby. So what are the etiology or cause? There are several etiology and several cause are associated with depression. The major things are associated with that genetic disorder. If they are in abnormality associated with any gene that will responsible for maintaining the chemical balance in our mind, that will influence in the development of depression. And drug abuse, if you are taking the psychotropic drug, or if you are affected with the abusing of the drug, and then they are maybe they will alter the chemical imbalance in our brain, and then it will causes the depression. Postpartum depression, after delivery there is development of the depression due to the abnormalities of the different neurotransmitter and hormone in our body, changes in the hormonal level in our body. Then neurochemical imbalance due to the some factor, due to the some disease, if you are suffering from the neurochemical imbalance, that will also causes the depression. And life threatening disease, like suppose if you are if a person is suffering from cancer, HIV, or any type of the life threatening disease, then this condition will also causes the imbalance in the chemical in our brain, and also you are feeling sad and you are go for depression slowly. Then any trauma, stress, alcohol addiction, if you go through the financial problem, if you lost your loved one, and if there is a relationship breakup, there is schizophrenia, which will also influence the development of the depression. Apart from that, lots of the other reason are there, that is the abusing, that is the sexual harassment, and these all other things are also influence in the development of the depression in an individual. Individual, there is the family status. If family status, it is also family condition, normal family condition, and you father and mother are fighting always, and if a child grow in that environment, he will automatically develop the depression, and it will automatically develop the symptom that will associated with the depression. So lots of the factors are there. These are the some common factors which are also mainly associated with the depression. Then pathophysiology. In pathophysiology, we are describing the monoamine hypothesis. There are different hypotheses. One by one we will go through. You can in the picture you can see that there is the presynaptic and postsynaptic cleft. And presynaptic cleft, there is a vesicle where neurotransmitter are stored. These neurotransmitter are released in the synaptic cleft and then bind to the monoamine receptor, and binding to the monoamine receptor, they will activate the different postsynaptic neurons, and they will responsible for the activity of the different kind of activity in our body. But what happen in some cases, there is a due to the reuptake, due to the less secretion, due to the over expression, due to the this thing, the proper amount of the neurotransmitter are not able to release in the synaptic cleft, and they are not properly bind to the receptor available for that, and then it will causes the imbalance of the neurotransmitter in the brain, and then it can causes the depression. The first major hypothesis of depression was formulated about 30 years ago, and proposed the main symptom of depression are due to the functional deficiency of the brain, monoaminergic transmitter, norepinephrine, 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin, and dopamine, whereas mania is causes by functional excess of the monoamine at the critical synapse in the brain. So here you can see that if it is less, then you will develop depression. If it is more, you will develop mania. So the balance between the norepinephrine, 5-hydroxytryptamine, and dopamine, that is very much crucial and very much important in the case of pathophysiology of depression. It is observed that antihypertensive drug reserpine, which causes the depletion of the presynaptic store of the norepinephrine, serotonin and dopamine, induce a syndrome resembling to the depression. So it is observed that the patient which are taking the reserpine as an antihypertensive drug, there is a depletion of the neurotransmitter that will develop the symptom which will resemble to the depression. But in contrast, if you you will feel the euphoria and hyperactivity behavior were observed in some patient which are being treated with the iproniazide, a compound which is synthesized for the treatment of the tuberculosis. So, which increase the brain neurotransmitter concentration and availability of the neurotransmitter noradrenaline, serotonin and dopamine by inhibiting the metabolizing enzyme monoamino oxidase. So, in a sufficient quantity the neurotransmitter are available, and that will give you the euphoria and thing of well-being and hyperactive behavior. So, if it is less, you will develop the symptom of the depression. If it is high, then there is a chances of the euphoria and hyperactive behavior. Considering the origin of the noradrenergic, serotonergic and dopaminergic neuron in the brain and their projection into many areas of the brain, it is clear that monoaminergic system are responsible for the many behavioral system symptoms such as mood, vigilance, motivation, fatigue and psychomotor agitation or retardation. So, if we consider the neurotransmitter like noradrenergic, serotonergic and dopaminergic neuron in the brain, and we project their activity, it will influence that, it will related to the mood, vigilance, motivation, fatigue and psychomotor agitation or retardation. Abnormal function and the behavioral consequence of either depression or the manic state may arise if alter the synthesis, storage, release of the neurotransmitter, as well as disturb the sensitivity of their receptor or subcellular messenger function. So, when we will find the abnormal thing, when there is a there is a abnormal synthesis, storage, release of the neurotransmitter, and there is they are binding to their particular receptor. So, we get this abnormal function. So, in that case you will either develop the depression or mania. So, here in picture you can see that normal synapse, left hand side no depression, because pink color one, that is the neurotransmitter that release and synaptic cleft and bind to the postsynaptic receptor, and they will do their function and maintain the mood, behavior and all other things in our brain. But in right hand side you can see that the depression causes by the lack of neurotransmitter. So, here you can see that only few neurotransmitter are present in the synaptic cleft, so that there is a lack of binding to the receptor. So, there is a lack of motivation in the lack of elevation in the mood, motivation and all other normal functioning of our brain. So, in that case it will causes the development of the depression. The paradigm of the monoamine depletion, which link clinical state of the monoamine deficiency, nicely offer the possibilities of investigating the effect or decrease the monoamine concentration on behavior, and gives us much additional information on impact on the psychopathology of depression. Additionally, there is an alpha methyl paratyrosine which inhibit the noradrenaline or norepinephrine synthesizing enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase, lead to the depletion of the norepinephrine in the synapse. So, you can know that already in neurotransmitter we will describe that how this noradrenaline, adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, they are get synthesized from which amino acid. There are step by step there is process is there, and there is various enzyme involved in that particular case, and then if something that will inhibit or block this enzyme, that can lead to the formation of less amount of the minimum amount of the neurotransmitter into the brain, and that can causes the also symptom of the depression. A similar influence of the metabolism of serotonin due to the tryptophan free amino acid mixture, which induce a rapid cerebral depletion of the tryptophan and ultimately a decrease in the serotonin concentration. It is not confirmed that only monoamine deficiency alone is not sufficient for the clinical syndrome to the develop depression. So, whatever the thing we are discussed in monoamine hypothesis, this thing is important, but this thing alone cannot establish that the depression only associated with the monoamine hypothesis. So, then there is another hypothesis that is the transporter of neurotransmitter reuptake. So, here you can in things you can see that presynaptic cleft in synaptic cleft there is the release of the neurotransmitter, then there is a reuptake to the presynaptic cleft via different transporter system, and they will further store in the presynaptic cleft. So, in certain cases if there is an excessive amount of the neurotransmitter are get reuptake. So, in synaptic cleft there is the amount of neurotransmitter are not adequately available. If it is not adequately available, then that time it can causes the symptom of the development of depression. Transport protein plays a crucial role in monoaminergic transmission. They reduces the availability of neurotransmitter in the synaptic cleft and thus terminate the effect of the neurotransmitter on pre and post synaptic receptor. Interestingly, 5-hydroxytryptamine polymorphism responsible for the lower function was found more frequently in depressed patient. Then we come to the neurotransmitter receptor hypothesis. In addition to the monoamine deficiency, and abnormality in the transmission can also arise from the changes in the receptor function, which means either changes in the coupling between the transmitter and receptor or changes in the downstream signal transduction cascade. So, what happens when these neurotransmitter are in the synaptic cleft? They have to bind to the receptor. After binding to the receptor, they are capable of the showing to their response. So, if there is imbalance between the receptor, if there is a down regulation or up regulation, and which will not resemble with the neurotransmitter, that will also impact on your symptomatic development of the depression. Norepinephrine transmission is regulated via the alpha beta adrenoreceptor, and there are various subtype with the same pharmacological property in the brain and periphery. Receptor classification for the serotonergic system has proceeds rapidly, and to date we know several major categories ranging from 5-HT1 to 5-HT7 receptor, each with further subtype. Receptor are not static entities. Their number and affinities are regulated by the many of the factor. For example, the transmitter concentration which leads to the compensatory down or up regulation in the receptor protein. Signal transduction pathway are in a pivotal position in the CNS, in that they affect the functional balance between the multiple neurotransmitter system and physiological process. Here you can see that up regulation in the left hand side picture, there is a up regulation, there is a number of receptor, there is increase the number of receptor, but the synaptic cleft the availability of the neurotransmitter is less. So, there is a less function, and then you can see that right hand side there is a down regulation of the receptor, the number of receptor are getting less, but there is available neurotransmitter, but due to the lack number of the neurotransmitter they are not properly bind to the receptor and cannot show their activity. So, in that case also you will develop the symptom of the depression, in both cases up regulation as well as in down regulation. In serotonin receptor, in depression the serotonin neuron is conceptualized as having a relative deficiency of the neurotransmitter serotonin. Also, the number of serotonin receptor is upregulated or increased, including the presynaptic autoreceptor as well as postsynaptic receptor. So, here the case is serotonin also same. Here there is upregulation in case in the postsynaptic as well as in the presynaptic also. So, the amount of available serotonin that will not sufficient to bind to the particular receptor, and they will not capable of showing to the normal behavior, motivation, mood, excitability, these all are the things, then automatically you will get feeling sad or feeling unworthy, and ultimately it will leading to the development of the depression. Then there is a permissive hypothesis. The control of emotional behavior result from a balance between the three neurotransmitters. They are the noradrenaline, serotonin, and dopamine. The decrease in the both serotonin and noradrenaline causes the depression, while the decrease in the serotonin with an increased noradrenaline causes mania. So in this case, you are see that there is three neurotransmitter: norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine. So the function of norepinephrine, if give you the energy interest, it will motivate you, it will maintain your mood, emotion, cognitive function, and you will also give the anxiety and irritability in higher concentration. And serotonin, it will maintain the impulse, mood, emotion, cognitive function, anxiety, irritability, sex appetite and aggression, and dopamine, and also are associated with this thing. So when these three are balanced, there is no depression. So it will maintain your normal mood, emotion, sexual life, appetite, aggression, motivation, everything equal. But if any one of these neurotransmitter are lack, then there is there is a decrease the number of serotonin, but there is increase the norepinephrine. It will give you the anxiety, irritability. So it will can lead to the development of the mania. So same thing, if norepinephrine it is decreased, it will change your mood, emotion, cognition, function, and motivation, and your practical life, and dopamine also play a crucial role. So this is the permissive hypothesis. In this case, we will balance the all the three neurotransmitter in our brain, so that it will control our normal life. Otherwise, if there is a imbalance, you will either you will get depressive, neither you will get manic, or you will may be suffering from anxiety disorder also. Endocrine process or endocrine hypothesis in depression. The hypothalamus is a region of the brain that control an immense number of the bodily function, including but not limited to emotion, behavior, pain and pleasure. It is the link between the endocrine and nervous system. The anterior pituitary produces 6 very important hormones. Each has different and distinct function necessary for maintaining the health and well-being. One hormone of special interest for the topic of depression is called adrenocorticotropin. Adrenocorticotropin is responsible for stimulating the adrenal gland and produce the dihydroepiandrosterone and the well known stress hormone, that is called cortisol. When a person experiences stress, the hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary gland, which in turn to produce a hormone that called ACTH, adrenocorticotropin hormone. ACTH then stimulate the adrenal gland and produce more of its hormone, including the cortisol. Chronic stress can lead to the elevation of the cortisol and reduction of the feel good neurotransmitter serotonin level. If we fail to manage the stress, this condition can eventually lead to the adrenal exhaustion, during which the adrenal gland fail to produce sufficient amount of the cortisol in response to the ACTH stimulation, causing a decreased level of the cortisol and causes the development of depression. So hypothalamus, corticotropin releasing hormone, anterior pituitary, adrenocorticotropic hormone, adrenal cortex, and cortisol, which will also give the negative feedback. Individuals suffering from depression often exhibit an inability to maintain a healthy balance in the neuroendocrine communication system. Disrupted balance in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis may result in hormone and neurotransmitter level higher or lower than the desired range for optimal function, and result in symptoms like depression, altered metabolism, anxiety, insomnia, low libido, and fatigue. Alternate and another one hormone, that is thyroid function, have been repeatedly linked to the depression, and the administration of the triiodothyronine seem to be an effective adjacent treatment for the many patients. The relationship between the thyroid hormone and neurotransmitter have mainly focused on the noradrenergic and serotonergic system, and it was shown that thyroid hormone application increase the cortisol serotonin release and may act as a co-transmitter to norepinephrine in the adrenergic nervous system. So, this endocrine and thyroid hormone also plays a crucial role in with balance maintaining with the neurotransmitter and responsible for the normal functioning of our normal life. If there is a fail of, if there is a disrupt the balance, then it can causes the depression. Then neuroimmunomediator, exposure to the stressful life events such as academic examination, divorce, bereavement causes impairment in various aspects of the cellular immunofunctions such as lymphocyte and natural killer NK cell activity. So, here you can see that stressor, euthymic vulnerable individual, which will leads to the inflammation, pro-inflammatory cytokine and allostatic load, release to the upregulation of the serotonergic transporter system, the upregulation of the dopamine transporter system, decrease the neurogenesis, decrease long term potentiation, activation of the IDO pathway, decrease in the serotonin availability, increase the exocytotoxicity, and activation of the HAP axis, increase in the glucocorticoid resistance, and modulate the neuronal activation, cognitive dysfunction, and sickness behavior. So, this ultimately all will leads to the major depressive disorder. Immune system is the key mediator of brain body interaction. Cytokine influence the various CNS function that are dysregulated in major depression such as sleep, food intake, cognition, temperature, and neuroendocrine regulation. So, then another hypothesis of the depression, that are the neurotropin and depression. Depression could that result from an inability to make the appropriate adaptive response to the stress or other abrasive stimuli. So, if you see that dysfunction of the brain derived neurotropic factor, which due to the postmortem decrease in the estradiol level, increase in the HAP axis activity, increase energy intake, metabolic disease like obesity, and inflammatory disease which will increase the cytokine level, that will ultimately leads to the dysfunction of the brain derived neurotropic factor, and which will ultimately leads to the development of depression. It is possible that brain derived neurotropic factor system is impaired in combined depression in postpartum inflammatory condition, including cancer, metabolic disease, through a change in the various factor like estradiol, HAP axis, cytokine, and energy intake. As BNDF regulate a variety of the brain function, further investigation on BNDF dysfunction in each condition such as postpartum cancer and obesity may be contribute to clarify the complex mechanism in complete depression. So, this is the another one hypothesis. Now, we come to the So these all are the hypotheses which will leads to the depression. Now we come to the symptoms of depression. Feeling negative thought, I can't able to do, it is impossible for me, oh no, this type of the activity you will feel. So negative thought always suppress your mind, and it is the one of the major common symptom of the uh, depression. Then you will feel the disturbed sleep, you will not able to get the normal sleep cycle, there is a disturbance in your sleep cycle. Then there is low libido or low sexual activity. Then you will feel the body pain and feeling always sad, and you will loss of the interest in your surrounding or the work you most preferred, you will loss of interest in that particular things. And then loss of appetite or other overeating, either you loss of appetite or you may start overeating. Feeling unworthy means feeling like that uh, means hope, unworthy means not usefulness, and you feel like hopeless, you will find yourself to self harm like suicidal tendencies, you will always have absent minded, low self esteem, low self confidence, and difficulties to the taking decision. So these are the some common symptoms which are associated with the depression. Now diagnosis. So in case of other disease, it is most there is various instrument, and instrument are available which will help to diagnose properly the disease, and there is also various enzymatic test and blood test are there, which will also easily clarify the identification of the disease. But in case of this depression, it is very difficult to the diagnosis, and the diagnosis pattern are sometimes like that. Each disorder has its own set of diagnosis, and it is important to consult a mental health expert and get the correct diagnosis before starting the treatment. Incorrect diagnosis may lead to complication and may further worsen the condition. So medical history, usually an expert record your medical history to rule out other illness that may be causing the symptom. Then psychological evaluation, a mental health expert uses a questionnaires to collect the information about the person, symptom, your thought, your feeling, your behavior pattern. The expert will also evaluate the duration of symptom, how and when they started, the severity, and how these symptoms have affected the person thought and behavior, what are the condition, what are the situation. In etiology I will describe, if you go through the trauma, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and any type of the alcohol withdrawals symptom, any type of the drug abuse, any type of the things your trauma, you are going through this phase, and mental health expert would collect the data, and you will correlate your symptom with that data. Then the person is diagnosed as suffering from depression only if they have more than 5 symptom of depression during the most time of the day over a 2-week period. This symptom must be severe enough to disrupt a person's daily activities, either at work or at home. Your doctor may perform the blood work to check for the other condition that could be contributing to your mood. Some medication and illness such as viral infection, thyroid disorder, significant hormonal changes can causes the symptoms similar to the depression. So this is the common diagnosis pattern of the depression. Now classification of the drug used in the treatment of the depression. So first we are using reversible inhibitor of the monoamino oxidase inhibitor A. The drug are maclobamide and chlorgyline. Then there is tricyclic antidepressant. It is further subdivided into two categories: noradrenaline and serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and only noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor. The drug are imipramine, amitriptyline, uh, doxepin. These are the drug. Only noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor are desperamine, reboxetine. These are the drug. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, fluoxetine, uh, fluvoxamine, paroxetine. So these are the drug. Serotonin and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor, venlafaxine, uh, dulu, uh, duluzetine. These are the drug. Then there is atypical antidepressant that are trazodone, mirtazapine. These are the drug we are commonly used. So these are the classification of the drug we are using for the treatment of the depression. Depending upon the situation, symptom, your doctor will prefer which drug to suit you, and depending upon that thing, they will choose the therapy for the treatment of the depression. Now, if we are considering MAO A inhibitor, monoamino oxidase A inhibitor. Monoamino oxidase, what it is? It's an enzyme which is basically responsible for the metabolism of the neurotransmitter. So what happen when these neurotransmitter are in the synaptic cleft or in the postsynaptic cleft? They will metabolize them, and they will produce the active metabolite product. So ultimately that neurotransmitter amount is decreased in your presynaptic as well as synaptic cleft. So if your presynaptic cleft having the less amount of the neurotransmitter, then it will also secrete less amount of the neurotransmitter in the synaptic cleft. So it is important to inhibit the when this neurotransmitter are reuptake, it is important to inhibit the metabolism of that particular neurotransmitter. If it is not get metabolized, then it will easily available, and due to the various stimuli it will release and it will bind to the receptor and it will show the pharmacological action. So here you can see that there is MAO preferentially diminize the 5-hydroxy and noradrenaline and inhibit by the chlorgyline and meclobamide. So here you can see that here is a stop signal, monoamino oxidase, which is responsible for metabolism of the serotonin, and here in the right hand side it is responsible for the metabolism of noradrenaline, and synaptic cleft it is both responsible for the metabolism of serotonin as well as noradrenaline. So here we are using the drug meclobamide. So this drug could stop the MAO A, and it will block the metabolism of the MAO, so that it will there is a sufficient amount of the neurotransmitter which will available and in our synaptic cleft, in presynaptic cleft, and that will release depending upon their stimuli and bind to receptor and show their pharmacological action, so there is no depression and relieve the symptom of the depression. So the mechanism of action, meclobamide involves the selective reversible inhibitor of the MAO A. This inhibition leads to a decrease in the metabolism and destruction of the monoamine in the neurotransmitter. This results in increase in the monoamines, relieving depressing symptoms. Pharmacokinetics, it is well absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract, more than 95%. Hepatic fast metabolism reduces the bioavailability to about 56% following administration of one dose, but increased to 90% after continuous administration. Peak plasma concentration are reached within 0.3 to 1 hour. Terminal half-life is 1.6 hour. Meclobamide is almost completely metabolized in the liver by cytochrome P450, 2C19 and 2D6, mainly excreted in urine. And adverse effect associated are nausea, dizziness, headache, insomnia, and rarely excitement and liver damage. Interaction with other drug and alcohol are remote, but caution is advised while co-prescribing pethidine, serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and tricyclic antidepressant. Therapeutic uses, it has emerged as a well tolerated alternative to tricyclic antidepressant for mild to moderate depression and for social phobia. Then we come to the tricyclic antidepressant. Here we are considering imipramine as a prototype drug and describe its pharmacological action. So the mechanism action of the all anti-TCA are same. So the pharmacological action, the most prominent TCA in their ability to inhibit norepinephrine transporter and serotonin transporter located at the neuronal and platelet membrane at low and therapeutically attained concentration. The TCA also inhibit the monoamine reuptake and interact with a variety of the receptor like muscarinic alpha adrenergic, histamine H1, 5-HT1, 5-HT2, and occasionally also dopamine 2. In CNS, effect is differ in case of a normal individual and in case of the depressed individual. In case of the normal individual, it causes the clumsy feeling, tiredness, light headedness, lightheadedness and sleepiness, difficulty in concentrating and thinking, unsteady gait, and this effect tend to provoke anxiety. In depressed patient, after 2 to 3 weeks of continuous treatment, the mood is gradually elevated. Patient become more communicative and start taking interest in self and surrounding. In depressed patient who have preponderance of the REM sleep, this phase is suppressed and awakening during the night are reduces. The EEG effect are altered in high dose. The more sedation, sedative ones are suitable for depressive patient, slowing anxiety and agitation. The less sedative or stimulant one are better for the withdrawn and retarded patient. So in pharmacological action, here you can see that tricyclic antidepressant. Here in left hand side there is a 5-serotonin reuptake transporter, which will taking the serotonin from the synaptic cleft to the presynaptic neuron. So TCA basically block that one. And there here in middle you can see that noradrenaline reuptake transporter. Here you can see that a stop signal. Here this tricyclic antidepressant stop the reuptake of the noradrenaline by the postsynaptic neurons. Okay, and then it will act on the muscarinic alpha 1 receptor in the right hand side, and in middle it will acting on the adrenergic receptor, and there is a histamine receptor. It will also block the histamine receptor. So these are the mechanism of action of the tricyclic antidepressant. And imipramine work by inhibiting the neuronal reuptake of the neurotransmitter norepinephrine and serotonin. It binds the sodium dependent serotonin transporter and sodium dependent norepinephrine transporter, reducing the reuptake of the norepinephrine and serotonin by the neurons, and increase the availability of the serotonin and norepinephrine into the synaptic cleft, so that serotonin bind to the serotonin receptor and noradrenaline bind to the noradrenaline receptor and can maintain the normal healthy life and can reduce the symptom in patients suffering from the depression. In ANS, the potentiate exogenous and endogenous noradrenaline by blocking uptake, but also have weak alpha 1 adrenergic blocking action. Some example amitriptyline, doxepin have slightly H1 antihistaminic action as well. And cardiovascular system, tachycardia due to the anticholinergic and noradrenergic potentiating action. Postural hypotension due to the inhibition of the cardiovascular reflexes and alpha 1 blocking activity. ECG change and cardiac arrhythmia, TOF suppression or inversion in the most consistent change. Overdose may causes arrhythmia. The norepinephrine potentiating plus acetylcholine blocking action along with directly myocardial depression compound the proarrhythmic potential. And if you considering the tolerance and dependence, tolerance to the anticholinergic and hypotensive effect of the imipramine like drug develops gradually, but antidepressant action is sustained. Psychological dependence on this drug is rare because their acute effects are not pleasant. Pharmacokinetic, rapidly and well absorbed after oral administration. Bioavailability ranges from 29 to 77% due to high inter-individual variability. Peak plasma concentration is usually attained 2 to 6 hours. Imipramine is nearly exclusively metabolized by the liver, and imipramine is converted to desperamine by the CYP1A2, CYP3A4 and CYP2C19. Both imipramine and desipramine are hydroxylated by the CYP2D6. Desipramine is an active metabolite. Imipramine is primarily excreted in the urine. Adverse effect, this tricyclic antidepressant having lots of adverse effect. The anticholinergic, due to the anticholinergic activity, imipramine can produce dry mucous membrane, blurry vision, increase intraocular pressure, hyperthermia, constipation, urinary retention, delayed maturation and dilation of the urinary tract. Central nervous system and neuromuscular effect include the drowsiness, lethargy, fatigue, agitation, excitement, nightmareness, restlessness, insomnia, confusion like that. Effect on GI tract include anorexia, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramp, and rarely agranulocytosis, thrombocytopenia, eosinophilia, leukopenia, and purpura have occurred. Therapeutic use for the relief of symptom of the depression and as a temporary adjacent therapy in reducing the aneurisms in children aged 6 years and older. May also be used off label manage the panic disorder with or without agoraphobia as a second line agent for the ADHD in children and adolescent, to manage the bulimia nervosa for short term management of the acute depressive episode, bipolar disorder and schizophrenia for the treatment of acute stress disorder and post traumatic stress disorder, and for the symptomatic treatment of the post therapeutic neuralgia and painful diabetic neuropathy. And interaction, it is lots of interaction. It is potential directly acting sympathomimetic amine present in cold asthma remedies. Adrenaline containing local anesthetic should be avoided. However, TCS attenuate the action of indirect sympathomimetic ephedrine and tyramine. TCA abolishes the antihypertensive action of the guanethidine and clonidine by preventing their transport into the adrenergic neuron. It potentiates the CNS depressant including alcohol and antihistamine. Phenytoin, phenylbutazone, aspirin, CPZ can displace TCA from protein binding site and causes the transient overdose symptom. Phenobarbital competitively inhibit as well as induce the imipramine metabolism. Carbamazepine and other enzyme inducer enhance the metabolism of TCS. SSRI inhibit the metabolism of several drugs including TCA. Dangerous toxicity can occur if these two drugs are given concurrently. MAO inhibitor dangerous hypertensive crisis with excitement and hallucination has occurred when given with the tricyclic antidepressant. Prominently noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor. So here you can see that here the noradrenaline reuptake transporter, here the drug block the noradrenaline reuptake into the presynaptic cleft. The drug is roboxetine. This is a newer selective noradrenaline reuptake blocker with effect of the 5-hydroxy tryptamine reuptake. Antimuscarinic and sedative action are minimal. It appears to produce fewer side effects and may be safer in overdose than other TCS. Usual side effects are insomnia, palpitation, dry mouth, constipation, sexual distress and urinary symptom. and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. You can see that these are the in the stop signal near, this is the serotonin reuptake transporter system. Here this drug block the transporter. The relatively safe and better acceptability of the serotonin reuptake inhibitor has made them first line drug in depression and allowed their extensive use in anxiety and phobias, OCD and related disorder. Serotonin SSRI treat depression by increasing level of serotonin in the brain. Serotonin is one of the chemical messenger that carries signal between the brain and nerve cell. Adverse effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, drowsiness, dry mouth, insomnia, etc. SSRI interact with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, aspirin, warfarin, and it may also used to treat the condition other than depression such as anxiety disorder also. Serotonin and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor, here you can see that these two are blocked by the drug. The drug is venlafaxine and its active metabolite desmethylvenlafaxine inhibit the reuptake of the both serotonin and norepinephrine with the potency greater than the 5-hydroxytryptamine than other non-adrenaline reuptake process. Prominent side effects are nausea, sweating, anxiety, dizziness, impotence and withdrawal reaction after discontinuation. A faster onset of action is claimed. Mood change and hot of flashes and menopausal syndrome, some anxiety and eating disorder are also benefited by this drug. Then atypical antidepressant, trazodone is indicated for the treatment of the major depression disorder. It has been used to label the adjacent therapy in alcohol dependence and off label to treat the anxiety and insomnia. It may also be used of level to treat symptom of the dementia, Alzheimer's disease, schizophrenia, eating disorder and fibromyalgia due to its effect on the various neurotransmitter receptor. Basically it's act on the 5-serotonin receptor, and it's also act on the serotonin reuptake, noradrenaline reuptake and alpha adrenergic receptor also. So it is known to inhibit the reuptake of the serotonin and block both histamine and alpha 1 adrenergic receptor. Despite the fact of this drug is frequently considered a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, several reports have been shown to that other mechanism including the antagonism at serotonin 5-HT1A, 5-HT1C and 5-HT2C receptor subtype. The antidepressant effect of this drug result from the inhibition of the receptor reuptake, which normally and these are the adverse effect and therapeutic effect. These are the uses of the endogenous depression, obsessive compulsive and phobic stage, anxiety disorder, neuropathic pain, attenuation of the deficit hyperactive disorder, premature ejaculation, enuresis and migration, and these are the reference where I am taking the things, and thank you all.